But in a strange irony, the rationalists who are writing textbooks for our children aim only to debunk every sentiment as mere emotion, while they themselves believe that their sentiments are somehow immune to the debunking process.
And what are the sentiments that they're trying to establish in the place of the Tao?
That's a great question, Jay. And when Lewis looks underneath the hood of their nominalism, he finds that if you strip away all sentiments, you get down to bare instinct.
Uh-oh.
Instinct is a name for we know not what.
What?
Jay, let me ask you this. How do migratory birds find their way?
Instinct.
That's right. To say that migratory birds find their way by instinct is to say that we do not know how migratory birds find their way.
I never thought about that. We really don't understand what instinct is. It just happens, right?
That's right. The closest definition we can get of instinct is that it is an unreflective, spontaneous impulse widely felt by members of a species.
Unreflective impulse sounds to me like appetite or desire.
Yeah. Yet the rationalist innovators will attempt to erect an entire set of ethics with instinct as its foundation. The innovator believes that an ethics based on instincts will give him all that he wants and nothing that he doesn't. This system of ethics based on pure instinct was most famously articulated by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who wrote the handbook for the French Revolution and inspired Marx, Freud, and Nietzsche.
Yeah, Marx, Freud, Nietzsche, not the kinds of men I want dating my daughters.
When all that is good has been debunked by those who would put instinct first, then all that remains are our desires. Lewis says that our instincts are at war with one another. Those who obey only their instincts are the simple-minded savages. The gentleman knows that there is a higher order directing us to obey it. The path of pure instinct is the slippery slope into the abyss. Our appetites will lead us straight into hell unless there is a chest and a head working to keep them in an order with the way of the Tao. He says that all ideologies of the innovators are merely fragments of the whole Tao. These ideologies are but branches rebelling against the whole tree.
That's why we say ideologues can't handle the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Lewis says that there has never been and will never be a radically new judgment of value in the history of the world, just as the human mind cannot invent a new primary color. That's just the way it is. Some things will never change.
Russell used to go around frequently in his speeches saying, there's nothing new under the sun. Famous quote. Eliot, I think, used it all the time also.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't stop some people from trying to reinvent the wheel or trying to change man's human nature. It happens all the time with government. We can live God's way or suffer the consequences.
Yep. As that old margarine commercial used to say, it's not nice to fool Mother Nature.
But it seems we're always bending nature to try to suit our own purposes through science.
Yep. That is the point that he makes at the beginning of his third and final chapter of this tiny little book. He says that through science, man has nature whacked. That through science, man conquers nature and gains power over nature. Much of what science has done has really been good for mankind. Medicine is always getting better. Stuff is always getting better. Better technology, better chemicals, better tools for us to wield power over nature. But Jay, here's the rub. If I pay you to carry me around on your back, does this mean that I myself am a strong person?
Not at all. You're just benefiting from my sweat, really.
That's right. And this is how Lewis says science works. I could be very weak, but still employ very strong devices.
Yeah, good point. Excellent.
And Lewis sees that if one generation of men figures out how to make its descendants what it pleases, then that generation is really exerting its power over all of the generations which follow.
If they get it wrong, they can really screw things up. Just look at how the people who thought they could have a master race did it in the 20th century.
Exactly. The last men, far from being heirs to power, will be the ones most subject to the dead hand of the great planners and conditioners. This is the paradox. Every conquest over nature increases her domain. Man's final conquest over nature will be the conquest over human nature. The man-molders of the new age will be a tiny group of men armed with the powers of an all-powerful state and an irresistible scientific technique. They will be able to cut everyone who comes after them into whatever shapes they please. Thus, the abolition of man.
Oh, cruel, Brave New World.
Both 1984 and Brave New World are awesome reads, but one should also include among them the novel C.S. Lewis wrote about the all-powerful state he titled That Hideous Strength. It is a novel based on the abolition of man. That Hideous Strength is no children's fable, Jay. C.S. Lewis had one of the best moral imaginations of the last couple centuries, but this book is not for kids.
Yeah, for the kids, you want to read or give them the Chronicles of Narnia. The series is one of the most successful series ever written, and the movies have been huge successes. Okay, Darren, so let's wrap this up.
Man has climbed the ladder of science and knowledge to a very powerful height. But not only are we gaining power over nature, we are actually getting weaker and more savage with each step up the ladder. Now man believes that it can kick away the ladder and remain at that lofty height, and we are setting ourselves up for another terrible fall.
Yeah, it's sort of like the story of the Garden of Eden. Eat from the tree of knowledge, but you're going to lose the paradise that was promised you.
Precisely. It's the devil's oldest temptation. You too can be like God.
But it never quite works out.
Nope, we're all fallen. We're all sinners.
So, what's the solution?
Well, part of the solution is to keep power out of the hands of the state, because the state will surely use that hideous strength against us. Only the Tao, or what Lewis calls mere Christianity, provides a common human law of action which can overarch rulers and the ruled alike. We must stay true to these beliefs if we are to have a government which is not tyranny or an obedience which is not slavery. As Reagan said, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Or one day, we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States when men were free.
That's pretty prophetic, even for the great communicator, Darren.
Yeah. He also said that socialism only works in two places, heaven where they don't need it, and hell where they already have it.
Excellent. Thanks, Darren. It's been a pleasure once again.
Thanks, Jay. It's been my honor.